I was gonna make a video, but then I found all my DS stuff and old Pokemon games. Like, yo, I'm gonna make this real quick. Alright, I'm gonna make this quick profile because I was supposed to make this about a week ago. This is the Gravidia deck that I ended up taking to Legacy Cup. Also, huge shout out to everyone that showed up to the event. Had like 34 players or something like that. And we did arguably less advertising for it. I'm just super happy with how it turned out. It was a really fantastic event. With this deck list, I ended up getting 10th place. Unfortunately, I lost the game into time and bubbled out. But the winner of the entire event was a Gravidia profile, and there's a lot of similarities between our lists. And I'm going to talk about the choices that I made in this, and later when I review Legacy Cup and the top 8 breakdown, I'll talk more about that. So for ride line, starter was whatever. I'm playing the Rudis and the Cubicea, and grade 3 is Gravidia herself. I thought about this for months on the arguments between this or the grade 2 for the Gravidia ride line. That's Soul Blast 3, draw a card, gain 5. To me, the 5k is more important, as this allows you to make a very strong turn 2 push, and that is incredibly important for setting up all of your momentum for the deck as a whole. It's really what you need, since this deck only looks like it's fast because most of the meta is turn 4 because of your grade 4s. So being able to push early is incredibly huge. The amount of tempo swing that you can get, especially if you hit triggers, of course. The ability to play through defensive triggers is also incredibly important, because you can make a shadow token and then give the token 5k, so it's 20, and then 20 will always hit into a 10 with the D trigger. Same thing if they're at 8 and they hit a D trigger. So you can still touch, which is incredibly important, because we always want to be asking our opponent for cards at all stages of the game, and taking away resources from them, because Gravidia herself being able to board wipe your opponent is a huge tempo swing. It's an incredibly fun deck also, and the fact that she on ride gains 2 meteors, which is deck thin 2, which can be a deck thin 2, draw 2, and take 2 cards away from your opponent, is insane. The fact that riding her becomes like a +3 arguably, if not more, is insane. Continuing remaining copies of her, your Persona rides with this are absolutely insane. It's incredible. I chose to play a playset of this, so this is very important as to the crit pressure, the power gain, and the discard. The ability to discard meteors for ride line and care less about that. Since this on play, Soul Blast 1, you can get a meteor from grave and put it into the order zone. This allows you to recycle your meteors, which is incredibly important when you have a super awkward hand early game, or you need to discard meteors for PG, and then you can think about this to get the meteors back, so that you can always be hitting them for a 3 rock drop or a 5 drop. Just so this having crit pressure also is incredibly important, because threatening 2 crit and checking 1 crit if you double your triggers, which pumps this up to 4, is just insane. For main deck grade 2s, this is the rest of what I was playing for the grade 2s as units. I'm maxing this out as 4 because I personally really value this for its the fact that it's 15k and it has 10k shield. I personally really value the shield because it's Overdress and we don't have that much. This is arguably the worst card in the deck, but I chose to play it for 2 reasons. Super late game, this allows me to put cards back in my deck, so I can avoid decking out, because I've had, for some reason, super late games with this, where I would just like pop 1 meteor and just slowly pick away at their board and just take away resources. This also allows me to put back cards, so if I ever end up seeing a Persona ride, I can ride this and then get grade 1 meteors back, so I can draw more cards, since I'm playing 5 grade 1 meteors, but I'll show that now. I really just played this to have the options of being able to recycle cards back into my deck and theoretically play more meteors, because I'll explain now. 2 of this because I play 2 because I want to resolve the search. That's the main reason why. I've seen too many people just play 1, draw it, and then just whiff the search, and it really hurts their tempo. It's kind of like the same thing in prison, but I understand why you only play 1 prison. But that's that, really. So I'm playing 5 grade 1 meteors, and then a place of the grade 2. Back in the previous iteration, we were playing 9 meteors, because I really value the main deck space of playing other cards, like units and things that I can throw on the board to hit my opponent, because after a while, you run out of resources way too quickly. You don't have as many units that you can throw down to attack your opponent with relative to other decks. And I understand that I can also pop cards, but you need to be careful when you decide to commit units down, because there have been many situations where I have a handful of triggers, but I don't have anything that I can really call to make a decent number. So I have to super rely on like hitting triggers for me to even make like a 5k 15 for it to even touch. So like, that's besides the point though. 5 meteors so that I'm able to draw into more cards, because originally I was just playing like 4-4, but that felt a little too limited, so I ended up playing 5. Just the fact that I can be able to Persona Ride C2, C2, recycle 1 ideally at some point, or the fact that this is going to be my search at some point in the game, so I can get the 3 and then presumably the 2 drop off of something else, so I can then hit 5 and double triggers, which most of the time won't really go for, because this deck is beat down but a little bit more controlled, because you did pace yourself, since we're not playing like max copies of meteors or anything like that. But the ability to pump yourself up a lot easier because of this is super important still. Still the same PGs, nothing special to say, and I chose to play 2 Bubble Mine for kind of just the having options. This is incredibly important in the prison matchup, because you can give this to them turn 2, take it back during your turn, put it into Soul, and then constantly use this and recycle this because of Seraph Snow, because of Pure Light, because they're going to take your Soul. So this is incredibly important in that matchup. I thought about putting this at to 3 if I was going to see a lot of prison, but I unfortunately didn't see a lot of prison, so seeing this at 2 was quite alright. That was good enough. But I also wanted this for the mirror match, if anything, because I just wanted options. I wanted to cover all my bases, since I didn't know what I was going to be fighting during the event. I was expecting to fight, like, you know, Bastion, Bear Magnus, Prison, of course, maybe even like mirror matches and Orfist. So I really just wanted this, especially I can throw it down early or behind Vanguard, so I can swing for 16 to push as early as possible, since that's what I really need to do with the deck. Since turn 3, I'm super strong, and after that point, I'm incredibly threatening to my opponent. Continuing on, we have 8 crit, 1 over. So I have never, actually I have. I ended up dropping 5 meteors and checking the OT like once to just blow my opponent out of the game, but hasn't really come up that often. I chose to play fronts for the defensive. Shield, since that's kind of what I need. The deck's ability to draw cards, but seeing this for offensive pressure, defensive capabilities, and honestly, like, you can play draws if you want to, but for me, I really value the shield, and I also value the fact that it's a front trigger, so that I can get over certain thresholds if I need to hit my opponent. But that was a very quick deck profile. I'm going to need to review top 8 for Legacy Cup, so more content to come as always. That should be this week by the time this video gets uploaded, which I'm going to do today before work. And going to go back to playing old games and looking at all my DS stuff, so I'll see you guys then. Take care.